in Delta State, where infrastructure expansion and political realignment are shaping the conversation across the state. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori's administration has intensified its infrastructure drive with renewed emphasis on road construction, urban renewal, flood control, and public facility upgrades. The government says the projects are aimed at improving connectivity, stimulating local enterprise, and enhancing living standards under its development agenda. Residents and stakeholders have offered mixed reactions. While many welcome improved road networks and drainage systems, others continue to call for transparency, timely completion, and equitable spread of projects across the state's senatorial districts. Meanwhile, political attention has also turned to the outcome of the Delta State Congress of the APC. Party members gathered to elect and affirm leadership across local governments and state structures. But several reports suggest that violence and intimidation marred part of the Delta APC Congress. So we have a lot to talk about tonight. Charles Aniagwu, Delta State Commissioner for Works, Rural Roads and Public Information, is on politics tonight to do justice to some of the questions out there. Good evening, Mr. Aniagwu. Thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Good evening, Jumoke, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. So let's start this conversation with an update from you to Deltans and perhaps Nigerians who followed the campaign promises of the governor. First, there's a 78 billion contract awarded to Julius Berger for multiple major road projects in Delta State. Where are we on that?
Well, thank you very much. I have followed through your remarks, albeit your introductory statements, and I must acknowledge that you have also followed through the developments in Delta, because you did mention that the governor is pushing through with a number of infrastructure development and many other aspects of the promises he made to Deltans in the course of his campaign in 2022 and 2023. And I can tell you that the election is not stopping him. The campaigns are not stopping him in any way. He's progressing very speedily and steadily with those promises he made, whether it's in the area of road infrastructure, building bridges, expanding our road networks, or in the area of expanding our education infrastructure, or also in the area of ensuring that we have functional health institutions. Not to also forget the issue of human capital development. Oborevwori is running very fast and steadily on all those plans. But of course, one major achievement of his administration in the last almost 3 years now is the issue of the security of Deltans and the entire state, which is why a number of investors are thronging the state, because the state have been able to show that we can be very peaceful, and then we can also ensure that we maintain the safety and security of the environment. So a whole lot is happening. Perhaps in the course of this conversation, we'll take them one by one, and to also put it straight that these developments are moving across the length and breadth of the entire state. You did talk about the bridges that were awarded to Julius Berger. I can tell you that beyond those initial 3 bridges and then the third one, which was a slipway around the roundabout, there are other projects that has also been awarded to Julius Berger. We have also ensured that Julius Berger is handling the Urumi Junction flyover in Abo, which is in a Kasad local government area and in the northern part of the state. We have also awarded another project and is moving steadily in a place called Otowodo Junction in Ugili in the central senatorial districts. The other ones you mentioned is in the Warri Highway Axis. So all those projects are moving steadily. That, of course, is without prejudice to many other constructions that are happening, either in the area of completion of the 15 bridges and roads leading to the Ode Shekiri, and then opening up a whole lot of communities in that axis, or also the over 30-kilometer stretch of road from a place called Ohoro Junction leading to Bomadi, and many other projects that you have very strong construction companies, either ECC, or you have Levant, and many others. I wouldn't want to begin to advertise them. They are Niger Cat. They are all involved in terms of the many projects. We have, I'm sure you also are aware that the over close to 140 kilometers, about 137 kilometer stretch of the road from Koka Junction in Asaba all the way to Ugili has been completed. And so today you can travel to Warri in just about 1 hour, 50 minutes. So Jumoke, a whole lot is happening in terms of infrastructure and maintaining the peace in Delta. And Oborevwori is not stopping.
And I also remember that before the governor joined the APC members in the states described those mega projects as a conduit pipe to misappropriate funds. I wonder what they have to say now that the governor has defected to the APC. But for some of your critics who say that mega urban projects, such urban mega projects such as this come at the expense of rural roads, how do you respond to that? What portion or what proportion
that
of
is not true. That is not true. Oborevwori has a unique approach to infrastructure development. Of course, you know the creation of the Ministry of Works in charge of rural and riverine routes is for the simple purpose of reaching out to riverine communities and at the same time handling projects that are in the rural communities. But that's not enough. The governor also desired to be able to speed up the processes, also created the Ministry of the Director of Rural, Riverine Infrastructure, which is also handling a number of projects in the riverine communities. And that is, of course, is without prejudice to what we're also doing with our interventionist agency, the DESOPADEC. And if there was anybody who claimed that projects are conduit pipe, as I speak to you, those projects that were awarded, which were supposed to last for a period of 30 months, in less than 27 months, they have already been completed. If you go to the DSC bridge now, the DSC roundabout, that particular long stretch of bridge is already completed. Our people are already making use of it, starting from the U-type period. The one in NRA has also been completed. The PTI junction is also almost completed. Then the slipway in the Funo roundabout is also very, very functional. Julius Berger has also continued the expansion of the road leading to the Okbe Axis, and then, of course, heading towards the MPA, which are part of the contract that were awarded in that early time that you mentioned. It was not just the bridges that were awarded. And so, before now, there were some members, even before we moved into the APC, who were wondering how they were going to square up with Oborevwori, given the number of projects that he's executing. And good enough, they discovered that we all now found ourselves in one ship, and they are saying, thank God, that they didn't need to suffer to be able to campaign against him. And so those were some of the issues. Even the chairman of the party confessed that much, that in one of the days where he was passing through some of those bridges, the person riding with him asked, how are we going to campaign against this kind of governor? But now we are in the same party, and by the grace of God, a whole lot is happening in our state beyond those ones that you talked about. And so we are very comfortable where we are. Beyond that, Oborevwori have also demonstrated a whole lot of transparency and accountability in the management of the state's resources, which is why he can boldly say and beat his chest that we are solvent. Not many states can boast of being solvent. And we did not become solvent because Oborevwori is getting something extra than other people. It just happened that he's managing the ones that is coming to Delta State very judiciously and giving us results at the same time. So, Jumoke, we are standing on a very, very strong footing, and we are quite comfortable that going into the next election, that the very wonderful performance of Oborevwori will speak very, very loud as Deltans approach the polls.
And for some stakeholders who are concerned about the durability of certain rural roads, and I'll give you instances, they're looking at places like Udu FC ECN Road, which I'm aware the governor was there in January. People are also talking about parts of rural Nyocha North and Undukwa East areas, internal links of the Warri-Patani corridor. Talk to us about the kind of quality control mechanisms that are in place to ensure these roads last beyond one rainy season.
Well, before I go to that, let me tell you that one of the things beyond the issue of a creation of ministries to deal with projects in the rural communities, one major thing that Governor Oborevwori has done to ensure that you have even spread of projects is through the budgetary provision. Whilst we were preparing the 2024 budget, Oborevwori directed that we need to be able to provide 1 billion naira that is specific to each of the local governments in Delta, and that gave us about 25 billion for the purpose of just intervening within the local government. That, of course, is without prejudice to the many other provisions that we have across different local governments and then running across the 3 senatorial districts. Having seen the success recorded with that particular provision, in 2025, as we are preparing the budget for the 2025 fiscal year, he opted to 2.1 billion per local government. And that particular process also made it possible for us to be able to intervene in a number of these rural communities and then bring in quality, very strong contractors to be able to carry out these projects. And of course, you do know that it's not only the commissioners that goes on inspection. The governor himself is always in the field, ensuring that all projects are being executed according to specification as very well spelled out in the Bill of Engineering, Measurement and Evaluation. And then beyond that, having also seen that that has made it possible for us to be able to construct roads across the 25 local government areas, including the ones you have mentioned, whether it's in Udu, whether it's in Indokwa East. Even today in Indokwa East, we have a particular road that is taking us almost close to 30 billion. It's called the Abo Akarai. It has a bridge. That particular project is also being handled by a very competent international contractor. And so we are ensuring that these projects we are giving out are being done according to specifications so that it can stand the test of time. Now, as we started the preparation for the 2026 budget, the governor reasoned that there is a whole lot we have achieved with the specific provisions for different local governments, and he decided to up it to 3 billion per local government. But after doing that, he saw that there was the need to also think of how we can also have additional intervention, either in the area of road expansion, or in the area of medical expansion, or in the area of building and ensuring that we have more infrastructure in our primary and secondary schools. So the governor decided that he needed to introduce another 4 billion per local government. That brings it a total of 7 billion in the 2026 budget. Jumoke, I am very happy you follow the 36 states of the Federation. You will agree with me that there is no single state that has that kind of specific provision for their different local governments. That, of course, like I said earlier, is without prejudice to the many other provisions we have in our budget that addresses several other issues in other sectors across these different local government areas. And so we are happy with what we are doing with respect to the constant supervision led by the governor himself to ensure that debtors get value for money. All the roads, beyond the fact that we have the likes of Julius Berger, the likes of CCECC, and many other in that respect, having to execute our projects, we're also ensuring that even the local contractors are also able to measure up through the process of a constant supervision of these projects, Jumoke.
All right, so apart from the figures you have read out tonight, I mean, there are videos on our screen indicating that so much work is going on in Delta State. But of course, you know, one of the major challenges we have here in this part of the world is after spending so much on infrastructure, we have this challenge of maintenance. I mean, as a country, we have historically struggled more with maintenance than construction. What is your long-term maintenance strategy for rural roads?
Well, what the governor has said, which we have also discussed, the governor has said that he's going to, for instance, the road that leads from Kuka, which is the longest stretch of roads in the entire South-South, that you can travel for a period of 1 hour, 45 minutes without a single pothole. The governor said that there is a need for us to put it under a maintenance arrangement where we are able to bring in a contractor that continue to look through that project and ensure that nothing happened to us in terms of the maintenance of that particular stretch. We have also been able to think of how we can revitalize and strengthen directorate of the Direct Labor Agency, which is out with the responsibility of ensuring that our roads remain very fit. We have quite a number of roads in Delta. Whilst we are trying as much as possible to ensure that the old ones that were constructed before we came in are kept in good shape, Oborevwori is also not only awarding new ones, but is also ensuring that we have some form of funds set aside for the purpose of ensuring that these roads are maintained. As I speak to you, a number of the roads that were done before, we have carried out what we call overlay. Overlay means that you are now able to bring in another layer of asphalt on top of existing asphalt after you have assessed the stress level. If the stress level on that particular road is such that you need to do some form of scarification, which means removing the existing asphalt, or in the terms of having to do some form of total rehabilitation or reconstruction, all that we are carrying out, because we believe that once that is done, we are able to have roads that are not only durable, but are able to also serve our people and gives us value for money. So a whole lot is being done. We agree with you that there is a need to ensure that the roads and different projects we are putting in place are maintained so that they can stand the test of time. But the first thing we do for them to start the test of time is what I told you earlier in terms of ensuring that the specificity in the Bill of Engineering, Measurement and Evaluation is adhered to. And then secondly, we believe that for that to happen, constant supervision is inevitable. And the governor has always led that charge, which is why a number of times you see the governor leading some of us into the field to be able to assess level of work that is being done and the extent to which they are conforming to lay down standards. And because everybody knows that the governor is involved, it has helped us. But the governor didn't stop at that. Because he knows that he cannot be everywhere, he cannot bilocate at the same time, he decided to introduce the whistleblower policy, which brings the people into focus. That is not only the commissioner in charge of different projects, or the governor himself, or even the engineers who are saddled with the responsibility of day-to-day supervision of these projects, but are the people themselves, because these projects are located in communities where people live. And the whistleblower number is made public to the people so that at any given time, through a WhatsApp message, you can now say, look, this is what's happening in so area. And we have gained a whole lot of advantage by that particular policy. The good thing about the policy is that this number is managed by the governor himself. A number of persons have sent in information into that number, and the governor himself will look at it and even put a call across to some persons to get more details. Some other times they forward it to us and direct that we should proceed to the place, and some other times the contractors are called to question. And so the whistleblower policy is also helping us to ensure that our projects are being executed according to plan. And that has also made those of us who are saddled with the responsibility of supervising these projects to play according to the rules, because it's not only you that can give the governor information as to what is happening. You know that there are other monitors who will also be able to give the information as to what is happening. And you can imagine if individuals on the streets are the one telling the governor that your project is a substandard, that means that more or less a vote of no confidence on the public.
A year ago, the ministry banned indiscriminate mixing of concrete on tarred roads and pavements. The state government was saying this practice was defacing and weakening surfaces. But to what extent has implementation gone and helped erode durability? But let's take a break at this moment, Mr. Aniagwu. And when we come back, we'll talk about politics. Please stay with us, everyone. Welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us on the program. Road construction, urban renewal, flood control, and public facility upgrades are integral parts of tonight's conversation with Charles Aniagwu, Delta State Commissioner for Works, Bureau of Roads, and Public Information. We'll also be taking a look at the aftermath of Delta APC State Congress. Why does it look like Delta North APC may need the intervention of Mr. President before peace finally reigns in that constituency? Thank you very much for staying with us, Mr. Aniagwu. If you can hear me.
Thank you very much, Jumoke.
Let's quickly talk about politics. I
can hear you very well.
All right, so if time permits us, we'll go back to flood control, urban renewal. The last time you were on this program, which was around November, I took you up on this perceived fragmentation in the party as soon as the governor defected into the APC. But I remember you told me that all is well with the APC in the state. So if indeed all is well, why should an ordinary states congress meant to strengthen grassroots mobilization cause so much havoc? I would like to have your overall assessment of the just completed Congress.
Well, let me start by informing you and Nigerians that the APC World Congress and Local Government Congress in Delta was very, very peaceful, largely peaceful. You recall that prior to that, on the 19th of December, when the APC had its NEC meeting in Abuja, the president was very, very clear on the need for party members to go and ensure that everybody is carried along. And taking a cue from that directive from the president in his remarks, our governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori, working with the state party chairman, convoked a stakeholders meeting in the government house, and where it was made clear that everybody needed to be carried along, that there is need for us to have a proper mix with those that were in the party before we came in and those of us that also came into the party. And running with that directive from the governor, all the leaders at the different local governments went home to consult with their member stakeholders at the different ward level and, of course, at the different local government level. But, of course, you do know that politics has a lot of interest. There are individuals whose interest is not that of the party, but they may want to think of how they can just come out and become whatever they want to become, without first of all minding the strength of the party. So those individuals may want to come out and then bring up some issues. Of course, it's not unexpected in any political setting. But largely, the Congress we had in Delta, both at the ward level and at the local government level, was very, very quite peaceful. We first of all approached it through a consensus arrangement where there were a whole lot of discussions, and you do not expect that in a political setting where you have varied interest, that the moment you go into the room, you just come out, everything will be settled. You need to be able to see how these different interests will be carried along as directed by the governor in the course of the stakeholders meeting, and that was done largely across the 25 local government areas. So if anybody is telling you that there were crises, it is almost largely at the imagination of those who were stating so. Perhaps by the time you are able to bring in specifics, well, I will also be able to speak to those issues. But I can tell you that in Delta APC, all is very, very well. The governor is leading us very, very comfortably. The project is speaking at the different ward level and at different local government level. So we'll have a whole lot to speak, to deploy in the course of the campaigns. And so it is not unexpected that at a time like this, individuals who have interest may want to push certain communications that may likely be at variance with the reality, Jumoke.
And because you work with the governor, so I may not expect you to say anything different. The reports we have, or the report that was out there...
Pin it down. If you pin it down, we'll be able to take it one by one, Jimmy.
Right. The report that was out there from your faction of the APC is that the Congress was peaceful. The faction says there was no parallel Congress. But how do you define what happened in Ethiopia West local governments? Can you confirm to us tonight that it was an attack on Right Honorable Oborevwori Swenu? Her aides say there was an assassination attempt and she only got away under heavy security. Can you confirm that?
Okay, now let me tell you, I think it's important we'll look at this issue starting from the remoteness of the issues before we come to that particular day. You know that since we moved into the APC, there were some persons who have not been very, very comfortable because they were more or less running as a lord of the minor. And it happened that the person you mentioned is one of those. Yes, I'm coming. It happened that the person you mentioned is one person that have not been very, very cooperative. But in the course of time, the governor has also reached out to her and many others to ensure that we'll have one house and be able to also project the interest of the president, that of the party, and that of the state. And so on this particular day, she came in her armored vehicle. She never came down from the vehicle. I want to see the picture of her coming down in the course of that particular Congress. She was the one that came in with security personnel that escorted her to the place. And the young boys who felt that they have said no vehicle should drive into the arena possibly also felt intimidated. So when you have somebody coming in with security agencies in an armored vehicle, you did not come down. Young boys who were also in the venue saying, no, you cannot bring in vehicle. How can those young boys who are not armed be the one to want to assassinate somebody who is in an armored vehicle and is the one who came with security personnel? Is it the security personnel she came with who are armed that wanted to assassinate her, or the boys that she claimed had sticks in their hand? So you needed to be able to understand that that narrative didn't sit well. Secondly, the last time I checked, she is not and was not a contestant in that election to be able to warrant the kind of threat she was trying to put across. She was not even, to the best of my knowledge, even a voter, because it was a delegate system at that level. So she was more or less going to be an observer. At what point did she now constitute a big threat that individuals may want to assassinate her? Somebody who is in her armored vehicle. There was no single bullet shot at her armored vehicle. The policemen and the security men that were with her did not arrest anybody. So who was it that wanted to assassinate her? The young boys who were saying, no, don't drive into the arena, were the ones that want to assassinate somebody in an armored vehicle that has security personnel coming with her, and those security personnel were armed, no single shot at her vehicle. How did she now come to the issue of wanting to be assassinated? She never even came down from her vehicle. So at what point did the issue of assassination come? He's just trying to raise an issue to make it look as if it was not what happened in Ethiopia was not peaceful. The people gathered in that particular arena. She has hardly met with them before. If anybody was trying to intimidate the people, I can tell you that she was the one coming with security personnel. So in terms of intimidation, she was the one intimidating the people. So if the people say, no, don't come in, and she never came down from her vehicle, how come she says she was if you look at the video, you will see that there were military personnel around her vehicle. You will see the several police persons that escorted her to that particular arena. So
all
at
right,
what
Mr.
point
Aniagwu,
did she now face the issue of assassination?
So how do you describe the relationship between Chief James Ibori and the governor? Because, I mean, the lady we're talking about is the daughter of Chief James Ibori. Would it be correct for me to say that Chief James Ibori is one of those leaders, those political leaders that are not happy with the governor?
I thought we were discussing developments in the APC. The last time I checked, our former governor, Chief James Ibori, is not a member of the APC. So,
okay.
Since he's not a member of the APC, I may not want to delve into issue of relationship with those who are not members of the party. But all I know is that at least they maintain a very cordial relationship. They meet in public spaces and they exchange pleasantries. I don't think the governor has a whole lot of respect for him. And I want to believe that he also has respect for the governor.
All right, because
he's not
the last
a member
time you
of
were
the
in
APC
this
at the
studio,
moment. So
kindly hold on,
I wouldn't want to drag him into the party.
Right. The last time you were in this studio here in Lagos, I mean, you said to me emphatically that all is well with the party. So, I mean, 3 months down the line, we're still talking about this deepening internal contest for structural
all is still very well. I just told you that our leader that you mentioned is not a member of the APC.
Please hold on. Tonight we're talking about this structural fragmentation in the APC in Delta State. Because the reports we have here is that the APC faction aligned with former Deputy Senate President, Senator Oborevwori Agege. That faction also has Chief James Ibori and Senator Prince Ned Nwoko, alongside what some leaders describe as the overwhelming majority of the APC legacy structure produced a parallel ward executive across the state. And what some members are saying is that the conduct of the Congress favored certain factions. So how do you describe that Congress as successful and peaceful?
First of all, you must understand that the process of conducting the Congress of the political party follows a particular procedure. You must first of all obtain the forms. You have to subject yourself to screening. The venue where the Congress will take place must have been communicated to the party. The Independent National Electoral Commission is also informed for the purpose of coming to observe and then monitor the processes that will ensure that you are following your party rules. So if that is happening, and possibly 1 or 2 persons who feels that they may not be able to emerge victorious because they don't have the number, decide to go to their house, like one person did in my own community. He decided to go to his house and declare himself a winner or a party chairman. How do you call that a parallel Congress? If, for instance, the election just ended up in Abuja, let's assume some other persons went to places that are not even recognized as polling unit and decide to vote in one other paper. So you call it parallel election. We had processes that were very, very streamlined by the party leadership that needed to be followed. Consensus discussions happened in a number of places. And if individuals, either because they feel they want to pursue certain agenda, which happens. I told you the last time that we had a discussion in your studio, sometime in November last year, that politics is more or less concentric circle of conspiracy, where the conspirators come together for the purpose of advancing certain causes. And so you do not expect, even in the game of football, that everybody will all the time be on the same page. But what we try to do is to make sure that majority appear to be on the same page. And our governor in Delta has been able to bring every majority of the people to be on the same page. There could be 1 or 2 persons who may be acting contrary because of their personal interest or what they thought they would have been able to achieve without the governor being in the party. And at the moment now that the governor is in the party, he has become the leader of the party, he is performing, he has good relationship with both the center and the state, he is carrying everybody along. There are individuals who may want it differently. And so such individuals who may want it differently may likely have a different communication. And politically, you will not begrudge them because they believe that towing that path may advance their own individual cause and causes. But in our own case, we are looking at what is the collective cause, how do we move our state forward, how do we help the president to be able to have a reasonable number of votes in our dear state, how do we also bring development to our people. I have told you earlier that in the midst of all this politicking, Oborevwori is not losing sight of the development agenda that he has set before himself and for the people of Delta, which is why continuously he's inspecting projects, he's commissioning projects, he's inaugurating new ones. There are individuals, even when he inaugurates those projects, even when it happens in their community, they don't want to come. So if you don't want to come because you feel that this project is giving this man more pass mark, it is up to those of you in the media to ask them what kind of politics are they playing for those very few who may want to toe that part. But be rest assured, Jumoke, that the APC under the leadership of Oborevwori in Delta is strong, is very determined to be able to deliver the president, to be able to deliver the governor, and most importantly, to be able to ensure that the dividends of democracy gets to the people on the street.
I mean, interestingly, Mr. Aniagwu, APC stakeholders meeting was held on January 23rd, 2026, and anyone would have thought that all grievances would have been addressed at that meeting. I mean, if indeed it was not just a gathering of party leaders, but a powerful demonstration of unity, strategic clarity, and forward-looking resolve, just as the party had put it, what could have gone wrong? Am I right to say that Delta APC is more divided than united after that meeting? And how would you also describe the leadership style of the governor?
I have told you that when we had that stakeholder meeting, taking a clue from the directive of the president, the governor also impressed it upon all of us to ensure that everybody is carried along. The governor is somebody who believes that everybody must be on the table, irrespective of your leaning, either politically or otherwise. And so, in that regard, the governor is leading everybody in the direction that suggests and that indeed speak to the fact that he wants the party to remain one and he wants us to move the state forward. Right. That is the governor. Now, like you said, we are much more united than you talked about. If a few individuals either goes to the media because of their personal interest,
Mr. Aniagwu, who are these individuals? Is it true? Is it also true?
You are the one that told me that there are some persons that came. Okay, for instance.
No, you keep denying. Is it also true?
For instance, no, you have mentioned the honourable member representing Ethiopia West.
Yes.
You mentioned that and we have addressed that issue.
She's not the only one involved in this.
Who else? So except you have another person, I'm not aware of anybody.
Is it true? Now, please kindly be, to the best of your ability, please be honest. Is it also true that the Ibori Omwagege Nwoke faction are reportedly working to deny the governor the party's ticket for a second term? Is that true?
How possible? First of all, I will please urge you to leave out the former governor, our leader, Honorable James Ibori, out of this discussion. He is not a member of the APC and so cannot be working to stop anybody. He's not a member of the APC. I'm not aware that he has joined the APC. But for the other ones, first good and fine that you also followed through that stakeholders meeting. You saw former Deputy Senate President, Oviomo Agege, where he clearly made it known to everybody that the governor is the leader of the party and that he has respect for the governor. And I want to believe that he meant it. I have not heard him, either in any media house or anywhere, taking steps to suggest that he doesn't mean what he said then. And in any case, the governor is very much grassrooted. The governor is a consensus builder. The governor is also adding to that the fact that he's also bringing development across the length and breadth of the 25 local government areas. The governor is somebody who have also been able to show that indeed our resources can be managed very prudently. With all this in his report card, how do you think anybody will just navigate to a dreamland and begin to think of how he's going to stop him from not only even becoming the candidate of the party, but winning the election? So, Jumoke, my dear sister, take it to the bank that Oborevwori is very much in charge, not only in terms of the political space of Delta, but the governance of the state is very much in safe hands in the person of Sheriff Oborevwori. Right. And so whatever rumor or side talks that you have seen, it happens everywhere, that individuals, one or two persons, may want to paint pictures that are at variance with reality. Take it to the bank from me that Oborevwori is very much in charge and all is very well with the APC in Delta.
All right. In the days ahead, we'll see if indeed Delta APC is no longer playing catch-up, but setting the pace. But let's go back to the infrastructure drive of the governor. I want us to talk about urban renewal, which can mean different things. For some, it's about beautification. For some, it's about demolition, reconstruction, or economic revitalization. So in clear terms, what does urban renewal mean under this administration?
First of all, in our own case, we are mixing our urban renewal to include the issues of, number one, reinventing our urban centers, ensuring that they become cleaner, redefining the skyline by the nature of projects, and ensuring that those projects at the end of the day provides opportunities for our people, and at the same time, making the environment much more livable, which is why we are tackling it from the aspect of the environmental issues. You talked about what we are doing with respect to erosion control, because we believe that in doing so, we would have been able to also save the environment and save infrastructure. There are a number of areas that are prone to flood, and effort is being made very vigorously through the construction of storm drainages across the length and breadth of some of these urban centers, particularly in Asaba and in the Warri, Uwe, and of course, Ukpe Aziz, where you have a whole lot of minutes of flooding that is being done. We also have a beautification to ensure that even areas where we are built road, that trees are also planted, and then we also have grasses along this stretch. We are not there yet, but a whole lot is being done in that regard. But beyond that, you could see that a number of our roads are now well lit, which means even at night, you have brighter roads. That is moving and progressing steadily. If you proceed now to Uwe, all the bridges you talked about a while ago, when we started this conversation, you will see that we also have solar power street lights. If you come to Asaba now, all the major roads have solar power street lights. We are also advancing it into the inner streets so that these urban centers become bright enough to reduce incidences of crime and criminality. I have talked about a number of measures being taken to redefine the landscape of our urban centers. By so doing, we're also providing employment for our people, even as we are redefining the skyline of our major cities. So it's all encompassing. Use it to provide jobs, use it to make the places look better, and then use it to make our communities look much more environmentally friendly.
Interesting. And while you were talking, Mr. Aniagwu, you know, I remembered that about some months ago, you called for greater national coordination, and you were proposing the designation of Delta State as a pilot blue corridor beginning in 2026, just to test integrated blue economy initiatives. And I also saw that you advocated federal support in the deployment of cleaner transport technologies. This is 2026, and Delta State has aligned with the federal. Has that conversation started?
Yes, a whole lot is happening at the moment in terms of ensuring that we take advantage of being very, very close to the center. We must appreciate the effort of the president, who has also been able to, even if he's giving listening ears to even those who are not members of the party, but there's a whole lot. Today, as I speak to you, you recall I told you then that so much is being done with respect to ensuring that the access road to the second Niger bridge is completed. By the time you get to that place now, you see that a whole lot has happened. Much of the clearing has been done. Earthwork is progressing steadily. The bridge that is supposed to make it possible for those moving along the old alignment can now take the upper part. That bridge is also progressing steadily. But beyond that, if you also proceed to the way we used to have major challenge between the head bridge and the Summit Junction, you could see that that particular road is being tackled, and is a concrete pavement that is being done along that particular corridor. The aspect of the Benin to the Summit Junction is also being handled, progressing from the Benin end. Then if you proceed from Benin towards Saple, you will also see that a whole lot is being done with respect to the concrete pavement of that particular stretch, with a very, very thick concrete that is being done in that regard. Then you mentioned the issue of blue economy. There is a whole lot that we're also doing in that regard. Today, we have opened up the channel into the River Niger through almost very close to the government house, where we have a two-lane road, that is a dual carriage rather, of a two-lane on each side, progressing steadily to the river bank. And that is being done, and a whole lot of some filling is being done in that corridor. We're hoping that once that is done, a whole lot will also open up to the River Niger, even as effort is being made to energize our state.
Just for the purpose of clarity, Mr. Aniagwu, did I hear you say the president is giving listening ears to those who are not members of the party? Was that what you said?
Yes, I have not seen any of the states at the moment complaining that the president is marginalizing them. Okay. There are a few states today. Remember the other day, for instance, in Anambra, the president was there. The last time I checked, Anambra is still being governed by the ABGA, and ditto a number of other states. So I have not heard any state saying that because they do not belong to the APC that the president is marginalizing them. And so if he's able to do that for those who are not in his party, so you can be rest assured that those who are very close to the kitchen will first of all feel the benefit of whatever is being cooked in the kitchen. All
right, then, great place to leave this conversation. And ultimately from here, we wish the governor and the state all the very best. Thank you so much for speaking with me tonight. Charles Aniagwu, Delta State Commissioner for Works,
Thank you very much, Jumoke, for having me.
And Public Information. Thank you so much for your time. Please have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight.